We're going back to back
Welcome, party people,
to the Until Next Week podcast.
It's the Until Next Week podcast where all we talk about is relevant things.
Yeah, very relevant things like, is Halloween overrated? Question mark?
Does the Cardinals suck?
Does Taylor Swift clout chase?
Whoa.
Question marks? We don't know, but that's why we talk about it on this podcast. So we have a good episode in for you today. And as you already heard, like, Dane's back again.
I am back.
He is back. Lindsay's not, so don't turn off the pod. You can listen to the whole thing now. But yeah, we have a good episode for you, and this is episode 44.
Lindsay's trying to sabotage my life.
Hey, we can talk about that more on the pod. So episode 44 of the Until Next Week podcast. What's up, Dane?
What's our first segment?
How's your week been? Come right at me like that, I guess.
No. So, wait, my week?
Yeah. How's your week been?
Okay.
Like, any life updates you got going for you?
Okay, so life update, had to shave my head.
No.
I didn't have to, I guess. But,
Okay.
I just started losing all my hair due to the chemo.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was just like on, what was it? Maybe Wednesday? I can't remember. Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
I just was like, it's time. It's like when the monkey,
Muppets.
no, the monkey on Lion King.
Yeah.
He was like, it's
Mufasa.
time for, it was time for Simba to become king, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yep.
But Scar's the rightful king of Pride Rock, but we don't need to bring that up again. And
obviously, I mean, we've talked about that so many times at this point. Like, why would we talk about it again? During your life updates.
Yeah. It just seems like it's common knowledge for all of our fans now that Scar is the rightful king of Pride Rock.
Obviously. And if you don't agree, listen, I think, to episode 4 of the Until Next Week podcast.
Or just every episode, because I probably bring it up like 25% of the time.
You brought it up more than is probably needed. I would agree with you there.
Dang it. But so yeah, shave my head. I'm wearing hats now, which being a dude, not to be insensitive, but it's better.
Are you being insensitive because you're a dude, or
no, insensitive to like girls who have cancer.
Oh, okay.
Being a dude is just so much easier to lose your hair, which super sympathy to girls who have cancer.
Yeah.
But then also, I think the way this will play out, I talked to my doctor yesterday, actually, and he finally said
he's listened to the podcast.
No, he's not. He makes way too much money to listen to the podcast.
Hey, we got some wealthy people that maybe listen.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know.
Anybody who owns a car, you're pretty wealthy.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good for yourself, so shout out to car owners.
But no, and well, I mean, honestly, he just doesn't have any time probably to listen.
Yep.
Because he's got to read and do doctor stuff. But so he finally said yesterday, he's like, yeah, like all your symptoms going down, you not coughing as much, not feeling the tumors as much, being able to eat more. He goes, that means it's working. And I was like,
that's good to hear.
I was like, good, because I tried to get you to say that last week, but you wouldn't say it. And he goes, yeah. He goes, without getting a scan, I can't be 100% sure, of course.
Yeah.
However, he goes, we can check these markers in your blood.
They put markers in your blood?
Yeah. It's
like what kind?
Well, you have markers in your blood, too.
What colors? Like purple? Like
green.
Blue?
No,
did they put crayons in there?
Blue and
crayons?
Green. No,
crowns.
Crowns.
Okay. Crowns. Okay.
That's a whole different debate.
Okay. Yeah. We'll get into that some other time.
Crayolas
During our preschool episode of the pod.
We bring on a preschooler.
No, probably shouldn't do that. But we can talk about crowns at some other time.
Right. But no, he said there's certain markers in your blood that will tell you like how much cancer I guess you have. And apparently before this started, I had 69,000 cancer markers.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have chuckled there.
Well, I didn't in front of the doctor, but later on I did, because he literally told me 69,000, and I was like, in my head I'm like, is that a lot? I don't know. And he goes, yeah, it's high, and I'm like, well, yeah, like I have stage 4 cancer, so I'm like, I assumed it would be high. And
I just want to know how many people who are in your position are recording back-to-back weeks on podcasts. Well, you're beating the odds right here.
Right. Well, I assume what's going to happen is this is how it'll play out for the podcast, where the weekend directly after chemo, so like next Saturday, I probably won't record.
But still listen. Please still listen.
Yeah, listen.
I might have someone else on the pod, or it could be a solo, but either way, it'll be amazing.
But then the following 2 weeks, I will feel well enough to do it, because I asked the doc also point blank, is this what I can expect, like how I'm going to feel and everything? And he goes, yeah, for the most part, you might feel like towards the end like a extra day of being sick.
Yep.
And so the way it plays out is the Friday, Saturday, Sunday after getting chemo really suck.
Yeah.
But then after that, I start getting better and better and better to the point where I can record again. So
let's go.
Yeah. I mean, that's the point, is to get better so I can record.
That's a good word. I mean, that's the whole reason. You're like, hey, I want to do the pod. That's the only reason I'm taking these treatments.
Yeah.
For the pod, for the clout, etc.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have another life update.
Oh, did you tell me right now?
Well, I can't tell you because it goes directly with the grinding my gears segment.
Oh, okay. So, well, hold off then. So I'll go into a couple life updates here. In the past, I guess last weekend, it was actually, I guess... Yep.
Sorry, I'm thirsty.
Yeah, it wasn't even a Mountain Dew, though. He has like some weird V8 energy, which is a great, actually, transition here. Because last weekend, actually, it was before we recorded with Lindsay, but because she just went on forever.
Gosh,
we didn't have enough time to jump into this. But last Friday and Saturday, I went to a couple concerts. I went to a KB concert, which if you don't know who KB is, hopefully you know who Lecrae is. If you don't know who Lecrae is, you're probably not a Christian.
Dang it. KB's pretty hyped though.
Yeah, KB's awesome. He's like a really hype, like kind of like Christian rapper dude. And he performed like an hour away from here last week, so I went to that. It was pretty cool because I saw him this past summer, and then they announced that he would be here again like in October, and I was like, okay, I'll go to it. I was like hoping like maybe he'll do a different concert because he also released like a new album. Unfortunately, it was basically the same set. Still very fun.
Dang.
Still very hype. He has a song called "Worship in the Mosh Pit," so he literally got people started making a mosh pit. And I was like, okay, that's fun.
I remember mosh pits.
It was good. But also because I'm super rich, I had VIP tickets, which were literally like $8 more than the normal tickets.
Yeah.
So I got to meet him. I met him in 2016, but then got to see him again here. Got him to sign the book that I pre-ordered or actually I didn't pre-order it. I got a book by him like multiple months ago. Have not read it, but I did get it signed by him.
We should get KB to do our intro.
I think somebody was saying, because I like posted a picture by him, and they're like, hey, is he going to be on the pod? I'm like, I don't know. I'll tag him. We'll see.
See what happens.
That would be super dope, though, getting him on, but I don't think that will ever happen. But yeah, so
not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
So one of the things, again, this isn't going to be my grinds my gears specifically, but they had where the VIP people went in early because it was like a general admission concert. So you kind of like picked out your seat. And what usually happens at these kind of concerts is like you have your seat, and then once the concert starts, people kind of move up and stand near the stage.
Yeah.
So they had, again, like all the early admission VIP people like pick their seats, and then you got in line to go meet KB. But then the other general admission people came in during that time, and they didn't even pick a seat. They just went to stand in front of the stage. I'm like, what is this? This is stupid.
Wicked smart.
I'm like, the whole point is we get first selection, and if we want to stand, let's say, in front of the stage, we should be able to do that.
I paid my $8.
Yeah, I paid however much more it was. I was like, this is kind of annoying. So that kind of grinded my gears. Luckily, I'm really tall, so I was still able to get pretty close. There was only like a couple people ahead of me, so it wasn't too bad, but it did grind my gears for a split second there.
Yeah, and praise the Lord, you're 6'6".
Yeah, it was nice. I don't know how people go to standing room concerts when they're short. I'm like, you don't see anything. Just listen on your phone to the playlist, and it'll be the exact same thing.
Short people.
Yeah, that would sound.
I am 6 foot for all the ladies out there.
Yeah, hey, shout out. But yeah, so I went to that on Friday night, and then the next day I drove to Tulsa with my sister to see Need to Breathe, who again
goated,
is a very big band.
I like Need to Breathe better.
They probably have a better concert just because again there's also a ton more people that go to it because KB performed at like a small like D2 college, and then Need to Breathe was at the Box Center, which is basically like a NBA-sized arena or right underneath it. So I think it can fit up to like 19,000 people, but they probably had like 12,000 because they didn't open up like the top sections. But it was really good. They always put on a very good show. Judah and the Lion, if you know them.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, I didn't really know much of their music, but I guess some people like really love it, and they are pretty solid. But they opened for them, and because they have like a song together on Need to Breathe, this newest album. So for like the closer of the night, they performed on stage together, and they also brought on like 7 random people who were just like fans. They're like, "Hey, you got to get hype right now. And it was pretty fun to watch. And of course, they're just like pulling out their phones, like, oh my gosh, look at me, I'm on stage with Need to Breathe and Jude and the Lion. But
I do hate that when people have to pull out their phones to document every moment of everything.
I mean, it is. I can understand maybe bringing out like a little bit, like, oh my gosh, what's happening? But I think sometimes it's like live in the moment. But it was pretty sweet. It was pretty fun to watch. But they put on a great concert. But unfortunately, they went until like, I don't know, like 11 o'clock at night, and it's like a 3-hour drive back. And
Tulsa, right?
Tulsa. Yeah. So it usually happens. There's like my sister and myself would go. She drives on the way there, and then I drive on the way back.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah, shout out Rebecca. And we started driving back, and like I had like an energy drink.
What kind?
I think I originally had like a Celsius to kind of start me off. And I was like feeling okay.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm really tired. So then she had, again, like you said, tying it all together, some V8 energies, like you're drinking. So I drank one, and I'm like, still not feeling super great.
They don't provide much energy, honestly.
I think it's like 80 milligrams, but it doesn't feel like anything.
It's derived from black and green tea, so it's like not really energy.
Wasn't feeling anything. So then I had another one, still wasn't feeling anything. And then I was like, okay, I don't know if I had a third one. I might have. But then I went to like just this really strong energy drink, which had like 200 milligrams of caffeine. So in a matter of like... It was Supplement Superstores. They have like their energy drinks there. I don't know if it's like... S2, I think might be the brand. But in the matter of like a 3-hour drive, I had around like 500 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah.
Or more, honestly. It could have been pushing 600. And still, I was like tired the whole time. Like I slept half the drive home as I was driving.
As you were driving.
Yeah, so that wasn't great. But we made it safely. It was all good.
Quite impressive, actually.
I think it was like the next day or maybe 2 days after. That's when I kind of had like that, I don't want to call this, but kind of like a caffeine hangover.
Crash.
Where I just felt like trash. I'm like, I need to consume a decent amount of caffeine right now just to kind of like I don't know, calm down my head.
Yeah.
But it was a little rough at the back end, but overall it was a solid time.
As far as energy drinks go, I only will drink Celsius nowadays, and then these V8 energies.
Yeah.
I've consumed one Red Bull in my life.
Yeah.
And I do take Red Bull hunting, actually.
Do you not like the taste, or you just don't, or what's your deal with
Red
them?
Bull tastes like battery acid, and I'm also just concerned.
Hey, battery acid, it gives you wings.
It does give you wings.
So
I do take Red Bull hunting because I get really bored and cold and tired whenever I'm hunting.
Yeah.
And so I'll put it in like a little bottle, like a water bottle.
Yeah.
And then I'll just take little sips because it like jolts you back awake.
Yeah. Whenever you mentioned Red Bull, it reminded me. So when I was growing up, like from like 4th to 8th grade, I went to like this gifted school, basically. Like picture like the X-Men, kind of the same idea.
Oh,
yeah, I had like great powers.
Never seen the X-Men.
I haven't either, but I'm pretty sure they go to a school because they're like all special.
It's like Harry Potter.
Yeah, Harry Potter. That's basically what was happening at the school. But I was like in this, I don't know, it was like an advertising class or something along those lines, like in 5th grade. And we had to make basically like a product. So we kind of ripped off Red Bull, and we were like, we'll call it a Blue Horse. It gives you legs. That was our thing. I have a video still, like a copy like of our commercial we made.
Man.
I haven't watched it in forever, but that was basically it. And then we like had to like make like a logo. So it was, I don't know, like a horse with like massive legs. I don't know. But that was just like quick little tangent there.
LOL.
But yeah, it was a good time. Good time. So I think this is a great time from going to a good time to going to a bad time. And yes, that means it's our grinds our gears segment.
We needed like a drop for grinding our gears. Like gears actually grinding.
Yeah, that just make it like really hard on your ears. I'll put full blast so like you take off your headphones and stop listening at this point. Because like, man, that is annoying.
Or somebody putting like bolts and nuts in a blender.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay, I was like, that was what does that mean?
So my first thing is we should make merch that says communism on it, and then the definition of communism.
I think our podcast is going to be flagged if you keep on bringing up communism like every episode.
I hope they flag me.
Alvaro, I know you're listening. I'm not bringing this up, and you understand that. It's always Dane or like Michael randomly. Like I don't know why this is a thing still.
Well, I started thinking.
Okay, congrats.
That's
a hard thing to do.
I don't do it often.
Yeah. You started thinking, and the first thing you thought of was communism?
What? No, I started thinking of what we say the most. Like, what would be like our catchphrase of the podcast?
Don't say it's anything communism related.
I think it's communism.
No.
Because what do we talk about the most?
We don't talk about that the most.
What do we talk about consistently?
Your hate for Lindsay. Not hate.
Actually,
she's a hater.
It should be Taylor Swift.
Or Taylor Swift, which we'll get into that also later.
I almost bought a T-shirt on Instagram of it was
Taylor Swift.
her 1989 album, right? Mm-hmm. But instead of her on there, it's Owen Wilson.
Hey, let's go.
And I didn't buy it because I didn't have my wallet with me to put in my credit card information, or else I'm probably gonna do it later.
So,
however, what's grinding my gears?
Okay.
Is and it's related to why I'm drinking V8 Energy instead of Mountain Dew right now.
Oh,
yeah.
I need to know this then.
Yeah. So it's medical opinions basically, and what is grinding my gears is so like I asked my doctors, like both my urologist and my oncologist, so the cancer doctor and my other doctor, like does cancer feed off of sugar? They both said no, and they said there's no medical evidence for that. But then every like, what is it, like dietitian person or like who's in school and whatnot that I talk to says that it does. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, so what is it? I'm like, I mean, I'm going to trust my doctors probably. But then I remember back to short story here.
Yep.
To my,
hey, it's a podcast. That's the whole point.
It is. It's all stories.
It's all stories.
So I remember back to when my other disease is happening, which it's still happening, but it's like under control, I should say.
Yeah.
My other disease is ulcerative colitis. And so with that, my white blood cells attack my large intestines. All I have to do really is I have to get an IV of this medicine every other month.
Yeah.
And so for the most part, it's relatively okay to live with. But they told me whenever I got it when I was 13 that I could never play basketball again. I could never run long distances again with like Lindsay. I'm obviously the better long distance runner.
How does it make her feel that you're not even supposed to be running and you beat her?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
Like,
yeah. Okay.
But also, I could never eat popcorn again. Those are the three things they told me I could certainly never do again.
Popcorn.
It
seems like a really random out of the three.
Well, they said it was too much fiber and the kernels would scrape my intestines.
Okay.
Is what would happen.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're a healthy person, like it's good for you to eat, but for me, it probably would be bad to eat. So then they were like, don't eat that. So then I don't eat it for 12 years until I'm turned 25. And then I ask I have a new doctor down here in Springfield because I'm not from Springfield.
Yep.
And so I asked the doctor, I said, hey, like, I've found that I can run long distances and it's fine. So can I play basketball? Can I eat popcorn? He goes, oh, yeah, for sure. Go ahead. And I said, what do you mean? I was like, my doctor in Columbia said the opposite. He said that I could never do these things again. He goes, well, I've never like prescribed that to any of my patients. And also there's no like hard medical research for that.
Yeah.
And I was like, so what you're telling me is based off of what you've read, you and this other doctor have prescribed different things. And he goes, yeah, basically. And I'm like, okay. So then I ate popcorn and I'm fine. And
you're still here. You're recording.
Yeah, that's
obviously
true.
You made it.
Well, like I didn't have any problems.
Yeah.
And I ran long distances, didn't have any problems, played basketball, didn't have any problems. And I'm like, so what are we talking about? Why did I go 12 years without these things, specifically popcorn? Because I would play basketball and run long distances anyways. And so then same thing with Mountain Dew and sugar, basically. I'm like, okay, so is this a thing? Is it not a thing? I don't know. But then I kind of came to the conclusion of, it is never going to be a bad idea to probably give up soda, and especially just right now.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, in the name of science, I'll have this V8 Energy, specifically orange pineapple instead.
Yeah.
But what I kind of came to the conclusion of is, okay, I'll try and give up like soda right now, but I'm not going to kill myself and like give up all sugar, because that would it wouldn't kill me, but it would make my life just miserable.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, because I'm not going to go full keto diet here or whatever. So what grinds my gears is I would like there to just be more firm opinions and a consensus on things in the medical field, because I would like to put myself in the best odds of beating cancer, believe it or not. So that's what grinds my gears.
Yeah, I that makes complete sense. And like obviously like cutting out soda or whatever else definitely wouldn't hurt you, and it definitely would help you, but it'd be nice knowing like if I did do this, would it actually be drastically worse for me?
Yeah.
Like the consistent opinions aren't always there, it sounds like.
Yeah, and that's what makes me mad. And then the dietitian, like people who are in school or whatnot, told me, they were like, it doesn't cause cancer, but when you have cancer, they were like, it feeds off of that. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, but also why am I listening to you over my doctors? But also the doctors are probably, they only know what they've read. And they're like, oh, yeah, there's probably some evidence, but not conclusive evidence. So we'll answer no to you. And I'm like, come on, guys. I need an answer here kind of thing.
Nice.
So, yeah, grinding gears.
Okay. Mine is kind of working off of what mine was last week, was when I said, like, the person hit me in the car. So, yeah, they were really nice originally, and then all of a sudden when we started dealing with insurance this week, they decided to change their story, and they're like, it was your fault, and you were driving and other stuff, and also I wasn't actually driving my car, it was my mom, and I'm like, you are horrible. Why are you lying about all of this? So it was a very annoying, like, a few days, because then the insurance is like, we won't cover anything or whatever else unless you get more evidence. So then I took it to the police and I filed a police report. And there's some interesting people in the lobbies of the police station, let me tell you.
Talking about yourself, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because they had me like fill out like all the different details about what happened, and then they had me draw like a diagram of like what happened. And
you had to draw it?
Yeah, so I pulled up Google Maps, so I had like a really good drawing, and then I showed it and like, oh, the people behind the desk are like, this is really nice. I'm like, yeah, it is. I spent like an hour on it. Man. But then like a couple days later, the insurance just randomly called and like, hey, we're covering it. And I was like, okay, how the turntables.
Yeah, I would have been like, how did you come to this conclusion, insurance company?
Yeah, because originally, like, they saw that the police report was filed, and they were like, it's still not enough evidence. And then all of a sudden, they called back and said they will cover it. So I feel like the police may have contacted the individual who hit me or something, and it probably made him nervous.
Maybe.
Yeah, and they're like, why am I lying about this? I don't want to, I don't know, get arrested or get in trouble. So insurance is now covering it. So it went from a grinding in my gears for most of the week to ultimately being a happy ending at the end, besides being hit, you know.
Well, yeah. The person was probably like, originally, oh, if I change my story up, insurance, I will have to pay less money. And then it became a criminal thing. Yeah. And they were like, whoa, it's not worth that.
Yeah, because believe it or not, it's illegal to lie to the police.
Oh, what?
Or something. So, I don't know if the police contacted them directly, but I'm going to assume they did, and that's why they decided to tell the insurance otherwise. So, we're all good now. We're all good.
Unless you want to burn their little house down.
Yeah, like the big bad wolf.
I'm going to do that to city utilities, but not actually.
Don't burn down city utilities.
I'm burning their little shop to the ground.
Oh, my gosh.
JK, I won't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, don't do anything criminal. Like, we're good. We're good. We're good. Criminal. And who's also good is Taylor Swift.
Oh. She's a person.
She is. She's a person, place, and thing. As you all know, I mean, if anything we say about Taylor Swift, all y'all already know, but, you know, we need content to talk about. So this is a perfect part to discuss Taylor Swift. And before we get into, actually, no, we'll go into it first. She has like her new album that she released, which is her new album, but it's actually her old album, which how many people can just release an album?
I was thinking about this yesterday.
Yeah. It's just like, hey, I'm going to release a new album, which is the same as my old album, but you're all going to buy it anyway. And that's why I'm now a billionaire.
Oh, I was thinking about how ingenious she is. Like, she's legit like a very smart person. I will say that.
Definitely.
Because like you just said, who can re-release their albums and make more money off of that than they originally did?
Yeah.
And then have this Eras tour where you're like just putting on a show basically of the different songs you've come up with over time, and you make billions of dollars.
And then also release a movie of the concert that people already went to the actual concert, but now they go to the movie to see the concert. I'm like, what in the world?
Well, and she cut out the middleman in that too, because she is the producer of that show.
Yeah.
So she didn't have to include Hollywood. And then the only new thing she's really coming up with are these vault songs. And so it's like, oh yeah, I'll come up with 2 or 3 new songs.
Yeah.
And then put them on this thing called The Vault, and then people will go crazy over it.
And something else with her like albums is she's kind of always done this, but she releases multiple different variations. So she has like one CD, and then in another CD she might have a different artwork on it. Or I
did that with the Midnight's album. I bought one of her, the one I liked the most, and I've hung it up in my room.
Yeah, yeah. But it's crazy because she does, and I know, so when she originally released like the 1989 album, they had like Polaroids, I guess, like in each album, but there's like 25 of them altogether. So if you wanted to get all of them, you had to buy like 5 albums, and there's no guarantee you would get all of them in there.
Right.
Which is brilliant on her side for making a ton of money, but it's also kind of annoying because then all these little girls are like, I need to buy 7, 8, 9 CDs to hopefully get all these little pictures. So, and that part, I'm like, that's a little annoying. And again, she does the same thing now. And like, obviously, it's a business, and she's making a fortune off of people buying 7 copies of her same album. And I know she does the same thing like with her records because vinyl's like huge nowadays.
I love vinyl. Yeah,
vinyl's pretty sweet.
I have so much vinyl.
And again, there's like multiple variations of that.
Yeah,
and people buy like all of it. So that's one of the reasons. Like recently, they announced she's like officially like a billionaire, and it's just crazy.
Man. Yeah, I have 2 vinyl records of hers, and it's the Midnight's one. Just the picture that I liked the best.
Yeah,
is the only one I bought. And then I also have Fearless on vinyl, which because I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I've come really, really close to buying Red on vinyl.
Taylor's version or original?
I don't care. And
okay,
well, actually, a top like 2 or 3 song for me is All Too Well on her Red album. Yeah, I really like a lot.
You like it short and to the point. You don't like those 10-minute versions.
The 10-minute version is dumb and she cusses and stuff. And then the patriarchy, it's awful.
Yeah.
This patriarchy that built America. And one of the greatest nations we've ever seen in history, which, don't get me wrong, sometimes the patriarchy can be oppressive and not good. However, we got it better than anybody else in history. So,
yeah, shout out.
But so, I don't know. I don't think America's all that bad is what I'm saying. So, so I've almost bought Red, but it's been $50 every time, and I'm like, ugh.
That's stupid.
I'm so close to buying it, but I'm like, that's a little bit too much money. I don't know.
You got to keep your eye out on like eBay or Amazon because sometimes they can drop lower there.
Yeah, I love eBay. eBay. I just bought a new vinyl off of that. I haven't even opened yet.
Yeah. What is it?
Oh, I can pull it up here on my purchases, and because it's somebody older. It's they were like a top 5 person on that. Remember when we did the
like the top singers of all time?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like somebody like the Beatles, or was it like Jimi Hendrix?
No, it's Otis Redding.
Oh, okay. So one of the random-ish people that were like, who's this guy?
Oh, kind of random.
Yeah.
But I ran across like a few of his songs, and I was like, actually, these are kind of groovy.
Maybe there's a reason they had him as the top 5 singers of all time.
Because I sometimes enjoy just some of the older music, because anymore I'm just like something that's gentle and vibey, like that's why I like Need to Breathe better than I like KB, because KB there's rap music. I like rap music a little bit.
There's a time to drive your car and just be like, yeah, I'm cool, like listen to this Christian rap, and then other times you're like, I can't listen to it in all scenarios. I need something kind of calm that isn't giving me super hype at all times. 9
out of 10 times I just want to kind of vibe is what's happening. And so that's the only thing that I don't like about vinyl is you have to listen to their whole album, not just the songs you want.
How it was meant to be, I guess.
It is how it's meant to be. So, yeah.
Well, I was going to say really quick, because I think you can pull up like your poll.
I have it.
You had a poll, but before you get into that, I also was going to say, so like the Volt tracks they had for Taylor Swift's new song, or Taylor Swift's new album has 5 Volt tracks, and it's Say Don't Go, Now That We Don't Talk, Is It Over Now, Suburban Legends, and then another song.
What is it, Samuel?
I don't know if I can say it. It's called, I might bleep it, but it's called
yeah, you can bleep it if you want.
And I was hoping for more out of but it really disappointed me. But honestly, out of those, I think the Say Don't Go, Now That We Don't Talk, and Is It Over Now are probably the best 3. I mean, I haven't listened to them a lot yet, but they all had a little bit more of a poppy vibe, and I was like, I can vibe with this. This is good. And then I also thought it was kind of dope. So when she re-recorded her album, if you remember, on Bad Blood, originally she had Kendrick Lamar like be featured on it.
I did not remember that.
Well, she did, and it was super hype. It's a better version of Bad Blood. And then she brought Kendrick Lamar on to re-record his verse. And I was like, I'm just thinking, whenever she's starting to re-release these albums, he's just sitting by his phone. It's like, is she going to call back?
Please call me.
Do
I
get to do this again? This is like arguably probably my biggest song I've ever been featured on. Please, Taylor. Even though he's doing very well for himself, I'm sure he's just like, I want to record the verse. And they did, and it was very hype again. So that was cool. That was cool.
He probably has to get a certain amount of the proceeds, right?
I'm sure he has to get some money. Yeah. So obviously he's going to do pretty well off that new re-recording version.
Yeah, I'll take some money, some cash.
Yeah. I can re-record the exact same lyrics I said the first time.
Yeah, it'd take me 20 minutes.
Yeah, wouldn't be hard at all. So yeah, you had a poll about Taylor Swift, I guess.
Yeah. So of my millions and millions of people who voted on this and Instagram followers
and millions and billions and stuff.
Yeah, which that's a callback here to go ahead and follow both Samuel and I on Instagram and our Until Next Week podcast Instagram as well. At Until Next Week, I guess, and then at Dane Musemeyer, at SamuelSin15. And or is that just your Venmo?
Yeah, so my Instagram and my Venmo are both at Samuelson. You don't need to have the 15 on there. So just so you know.
Do with that information what you will.
Yep, but you had a poll.
Yeah. So the poll that I put up online, I asked the question. I said, did Taylor Swift quiz Travis Kelce on her music before the first date? And so of the millions of people who voted, I gave 4 different answers that you could choose, which was yes, no, Taylor's just chasing clout, or the NFL is rigged.
I think I put. Oh, I think I answered no.
I can tell you what you voted.
Yeah, I think I voted no.
You voted.
Yeah. Yep.
You did vote no. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So, I did vote no. Yes or yes no.
Yes no.
I voted no.
You voted no. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Got it.
So then, I'll give from 4 to 1 what the percentages were.
Okay.
So the least amount of people voted for no.
Yeah. Shout out.
Samuel drove up those numbers.
Yeah. Here we go. I know what I'm talking about.
The second lowest that people voted was yes, with 21%.
Hey, shout out to the yeses.
By the way, 18% for no. And then the third most voted is that Taylor's just chasing clout at 25%.
Okay, so it's not the highest.
It's not the highest.
Okay.
Which she is just chasing clout. But the highest is the NFL is rigged, and I'm so proud of my Instagram followers to be so woke as to know that the NFL is rigged.
There you go. I mean, you definitely bring a certain type of people who follow you.
Yeah.
So it's understandable. They're like, oh, NFL's rigged. I don't even need to read what the question is.
Yeah.
I just know I'll click on that at all times.
Here's further evidence that the NFL is rigged.
Yeah, please tell me.
So the past 2 Super Bowls or 3 Super Bowls,
yeah,
at the beginning of the season they released the logo for the Super Bowls, and the colors of those logos have matched the colors of the teams that have ended up playing in the Super Bowl the past 2 or 3 years.
Okay,
and so you're hearing it here first if you're listening to the pod. This year's colors are red and purple, which would suggest
Ravens and Cardinals.
Nope, Ravens and 49ers.
Can Ravens play the Chiefs?
No, they're both AFC.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. But, yeah, so it could be Chiefs and Vikings, but not going to be. And I'm telling you, it's going to be 49ers, Ravens, and then that's how we'll know the NFL is rigged.
Okay. Interesting.
I saw that online. Somebody else put that up, and I was like, that's rather interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I knew it was I saw like this thing where it's like people reading the NFL script for the year. And I don't know if it was this specifically, but it's like maybe Aaron Rodgers reading it. It's like, wait, I have to do what?
You have to
tear my Achilles on the 4th play of the season? Like, it was something along those lines. I'm like, that kind of stinks.
Yeah. I don't think they obviously influence injuries or something like that. But the officiating, though, is a lot of times fishy. And, oh, man, I'm still mad about last year how the whole DeMar Hamlin situation happens.
Yeah.
Where he almost dies on the field. They cancel the game for the Bills and Bengals, which if the Bills had won, they'd beaten the Chiefs that year. And they would have had the number 1 seed if they just won that game.
Yeah.
And so they canceled the game, giving the Chiefs the number 1 seed by percentage points because the Bills didn't play the same number of games as the Chiefs did. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. You handed the Chiefs the number 1 seed and the bye and the home field advantage to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep, that's the NFL being rigged.
Well, you say that, and again, it is different for sure, but having the number 1 seed, they don't have to play the first game, but that doesn't always happen to help people, especially in baseball, because with like the postseason and everything else, we don't need to dig too much into this, but they have like the wild card rounds, and they have like 4 basically like number 1 seeds who get like a bye. I think it's 4 number 1 seeds who get a bye. And every single one of those number 1 seeds, I believe, or all the top 4 records, they all lost because they had the bye week. And then these wild card teams who played like a round beforehand were all coming in hot, and they beat them all.
Baseball is like that because it's always, I always say in football, it's the healthiest and best kind of team. The NBA is just the best team. And then the MLB is always the hottest team.
Yeah, the hottest team.
Yeah.
It's the sport, again, like people say it's the hardest thing to do in all sports is like hit a baseball. And if you're taking off like a week off that competition and people are like staying fresh, like you're going to have a better team playing against the people who've been sitting. Yeah. So, it was kind of crazy to see that happen. And now like the Diamondbacks and Rangers are in the World Series. And
both wild card teams, right?
Yeah. And it was funny because they both had the exact same records going through. They, I think, both beat I think in the wild card round, I think they won. They swept. I think they swept the original teams 2-0, and then they swept the number 1 seeds 3-0, and then they round 7. Right before in like NLCS, ALCS, they went 7 games, so they won 4-3, and then they finally have a different record now because there's been 1 World Series game played, and the Rangers won it by walk-off. So I'm like, that is crazy.
One as if we're recording, because there's another tonight.
Yeah. So when you're listening, there would have been 2 or 3 already played, most likely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And also when you're listening, I'll be getting chemo. So
shout out.
Yeah. Go ahead and pray for me.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great time to talk about is Halloween overrated.
Oh. Transitions flawless.
Yeah. I mean, the transition was amazing there. I don't know. I guess I can kind of go into my thoughts. You go into your thoughts. Go from there.
Yeah, you go first this time.
So Halloween in general, like I've never been like a huge fan of it. Like obviously when I was a kid growing up, it was fun getting candy like on Halloween night. And besides that, I didn't really care about rest of the Halloween festivities. Like we never really did like Halloween decorations. Like I didn't like scary movies. Like the whole kind of vibe around Halloween, I just didn't really care for. But I did enjoy going like trick-or-treating. Like that was fun. And not much has changed like as I've grown up. Like I don't really care for, again, like all the Halloween.
You still really like trick-or-treating.
Yeah, I get weird looks though now. It's a little strange. But yeah, I don't really care about like dressing up too much, or like again, like trick-or-treating isn't really, I don't do that anymore, obviously. So like the only thing I really care about now is like I enjoy going to like fall parties.
Yeah.
Like again, we had one with like K-Life like last week where again we dressed up, but my group we just kind of put on basketball jerseys, so we quote unquote dressed up, but also not really. But I just more so enjoy like spending time with people and just kind of enjoying the vibes, and I don't really think Halloween's necessary to have all that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good time to like have an excuse to just hang out with people. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I love hanging out with people. That's just my vibe. We're both, you and I are both very extroverted. So
yeah, we're vibey people.
We are vibey people. That's why we started a podcast.
Obviously.
And so then going into, I guess, my thoughts on it is it's a young man's game. And you kind of hinted on that, where it's like when you're young, it's the first of the big 3.
Yeah.
And I get to get all this candy and whatnot. And so, I'll take the candy. Mm-hmm. And so you dress up as whatever you want that year, and then you go. And so then both of us are post-college now.
Yeah.
Where it's just like,
like I don't really care. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
If people get into it who are like our age and again like, get way too into it and like dress up and just like, I don't know. When they go really hard, I'm like, that's starting to get a little weird.
I think college is the time where it's like that's your final hurrah.
Yeah.
Like you go to these Halloween parties where people are dressing up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dress up, have fun, whatever. But then after that, like I don't know. Hypothetically in the future, if my wife wanted to mildly dress up, like I'm not going to wear like a Hansel and Gretel costume or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But if this year, like if she wanted to go as like Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, I would say yes, under one condition.
I can't be Travis Kelce.
I can't be Travis. You got to be Travis, and I get to be Taylor.
Yeah.
Because my favorite costume that I ever wore all time was actually in college, where I dressed up as my sister. And
I saw that picture the other day. That's funny.
If you go to my Instagram, it's on my Instagram. But I basically bought a red wig and then borrowed one of her track outfits because she ran cross country for Missouri State. And then I wore leggings underneath. Don't worry.
Shout out.
And then I got a stuffed animal cat, and put it on a leash because she walks her cats, just so all of you know. Mm-hmm. And then I went to the party, and Lindsay wasn't there for some reason. She was running. She
was.
It
was you though.
Yeah, okay, it was me.
You were Lindsay.
So the real Lindsay was at cross country meet, so she couldn't go, and because it was like a Friday or Saturday, and they had to go like on Thursday or something. I don't know, but her now husband was there. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't.
He started hitting on you.
I started hitting on him. And so basically, I'm like, "Hey, big fella, how you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm so confused." And I would throw the stuffed animal cat, into like a group of people and be like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I hate it when she does this. And then like pull her back. And then I kept just like trying to flirt with her now husband. They were dating at the time.
That's awesome.
And it was just really funny. And they gave out awards at this party. There was probably 50 people there. And I won best individual costume.
That was great. That's amazing. Honestly.
And then we threw pumpkins off the roof.
That's great.
And yeah. So Halloween, like post-college, kind of give up on it. Now, if my wife wanted to dress up as Top Gun, and I'm Maverick, and she's the female.
No, you want to be the female in that situation too.
I do not want to be the female in that one.
You're Taylor Swift. She's Travis Kelce. You're the female. She's Tom Cruise.
I'm Tom Cruise.
Okay.
Because you're dangerous, Maverick. I love Top Gun.
You're dangerous.
But yeah, that's how I feel about Halloween. Like, because now in our age, like we're the ones handing out candy.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
It's like, no, I want this for myself. I'm going to have the lights off on my porch. I'm like, no, get away.
Yeah, I'm going to buy candy for me, kids. Like, and so now it's happened a couple of times where kids come up trick or treat, and I'm like, oh, frick, like I forgot to buy candy.
Yeah.
Here's a toothbrush.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you're that house.
I forgot I'm an adult now. But yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so I like the fall party vibes. I do enjoy. I went to one like last night, and it's honestly just like really fun because like even for this, they could have had like, hey, dress up in costumes, but literally it was like, hey, have your best flannel on or something along those lines. And I
that's
mean,
way more fun.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't wear a flannel, but I just kind of went, and I think a few people dressed up a little bit like in that regard. But I mean, it was just fun. Like we had a lot of people, like some people I haven't seen like in multiple months.
Yeah.
And we had like hot dogs and kind of like fall type food.
You're a hot dog.
Oh, stop it! You make me blush. But it's funny because one of my friends, Evan, he came to the party, and he walked in with a bag from Brahms.
Oh. Bag of burgers.
Well, yeah. Well, he went there and it's like, yeah. So I ordered like one burger. And they gave me 5 and fries, and I'm like, the buy one get 4 free special, you know, that's the classic thing. And he was like, kind of like really confused, and I was like, what in the world? And I'm like, it had to have been a situation because he was like, I don't want to check my bag like when they give it to me, but at the same time, you're getting a bag of burgers. Like this doesn't feel like the weight of one burger.
Yeah.
But I feel like he probably got someone else's order there, or maybe he just bought a bag of burgers and didn't even realize it, and he thought he bought a solo and just kind of went along with it. But overall, that was good because I ended up getting a burger from Brahms.
You go.
So I was like, hey, shout out.
Yeah, if you don't want one of the 5, I'll take one.
Yeah, he just came in. He already ate one, and it's like 4 left. So I think he ate one more, and then 3 of us ate the other one. So it was, I mean, I was happy about it, but it was like, that's so random.
They also have a bag of burritos there.
Yeah, and bag of like sausage biscuits. Oh. It's like they just do like, hey, just put everything in a bag, and like, here we go. Yeah. Like that's clutch.
Here's a basic burger, basic burrito, basic sausage biscuit.
Yeah.
Take 5 of them.
Well, these bag of burgers, they actually had cheese on it though. So it was like bag of cheeseburgers.
Man.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
I wish they did that with tires.
Yeah.
Buy one, get 4 free.
Yeah.
I would do that.
There we go. Of course, the one is probably going to be really expensive.
Yeah. $200-$300.
Yeah.
$5,000.
Yeah. We'll see though. But yeah, like at this fall party, like I was talking to some random people. I think some people like legitimately have not seen since like the last like fall party we had, or like a New Year's party, because like this is like an old like college friend, and he's like a really good host and everything else, and he just like invites a ton of people to his house and throws a really good party. But yeah, I was talking to some of these people, and I guess me having a podcast came up, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna listen, I'm gonna subscribe. So if you're listening right now, shout out to you. No, it wasn't Evan. But yeah, it was just a good overall time because, I got a burger from Brahms. I got a new subscriber for the podcast. Got to have some good conversations. And then also, like at these parties specifically, there's like always competitions involved. And in the past, it's usually just been like apple bobbing and like pumpkin tosses.
Not apple bottom jeans.
Apple bottom jeans. Yeah, apple bottom jeans competitions. But we also had wheelbarrow racing as well. So just before I dig into all these, what are your thoughts on like apple bobbing in general?
I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want an apple, and I'm not going to put my face in cold water to get an apple.
And I usually would not do it. And I did it last year because I went first, because I wasn't going to get the backwash of everybody else.
That too. I didn't even think about that.
It's nasty. Yeah. So I did it first last year, but I got obliterated by this other guy. And I was considering doing it this year, but then that same guy was there again. I'm like, he has a massive mouth. So he got 3 apples out of like the barrel in like 12 seconds. Ugh. Like it was crazy fast, and like no one's going to get close to that. And of
what
course,
kind of apples?
I'm not positive. I didn't ask.
Gala,
it was probably like Granny Smith or something. Or no, it wasn't green. I don't know why I said that. Maybe Macintosh. Maybe.
Oh.
It was red apples though. But
Red Delicious.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't want to put my head in water when it's really cold outside also to try to beat this guy who took 12 seconds to get 3 apples out.
Man.
My mouth doesn't open that wide. Like, I can't do it that quickly. It was crazy.
This is quality content right here.
I know.
How wide your mouth opens.
Yeah, I know. I think he dislocates his jaw to get it around the apples.
It unhinges like a snake.
Yeah, that's what he does, and that's how he's able to get them out so quickly. So yeah, apple bobbing, not a huge fan of. But then they also brought in wheelbarrow racing, which... with no context, what do you think is involved here?
I think you probably get split up into teams, and then you have to race. One person sits in the wheelbarrow, and you have to race the other person to like a checkpoint, and then I don't know, spin around and then switch and then come back.
That was excellent.
Really?
Excellent.
That's
Yeah, basically. So they had 2 wheelbarrows, except the wheelbarrows, one had 2 wheels in the front, one had 1 wheel in the front.
That's cheating.
Yeah, they quickly realized, like the first time they raced, like 2 different people, and like they ran around the house.
Oh, the
with
whole
the person,
house.
Yeah, whole house with it. It's a pretty decent sized house.
Yeah.
And then they switched into the other one. Person with 1 tire, they took forever.
Yeah.
Like they had no chance. So then they did the 2 tire one. It was just going solo, basically time trials. So the first person who did 2 wheels, it took like 1 minute 45 seconds because I guess they crashed at one point.
Oh, how do you crash with 2 wheels?
I think they just fell out. I don't know. I think there's like some little hills and stuff. But then like one of the next people, I think they were closer to like a minute 10, minute 18.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if someone else went. And then I went with Lincoln, who's the guy who owns the house, and he's like, "Hey, you want to partner up?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And we kind of talked some strategy through, and like obviously he knows his house well and like kind of the route to go
where all the bumps and bruises
are.
So
he pushed first, and we made it around the first lap in like give or take like 24 seconds.
Minutes? Oh.
Yeah, 24 seconds, which is crazy. And then jumped out, switched, and then I followed the exact same route as him, and we ended up going like 51 seconds. Like, and but it's so tiring because by like the last turn, you're like, oh my gosh, this is a crazy workout. But we obliterated everybody, which is great because he gives out prizes, and because he was my partner, he wasn't going to keep the prize for himself. So I got like a gift card for like Olive Garden or something. I'm like, this is clutch.
But that's another thing I want to talk about after this. But
we'll get there.
Yeah.
So they did the guys, and then they're like, hey, they have to have some girl teams go, and they're
True.
like, okay, we'll do this, and oh my gosh, within like 8 seconds, it was the freakiest crash I've ever seen. The people lost their balance.
Yeah.
The person fell forward. The wheelbarrow went over the top and crushed her. And then the girl fell on top of the wheelbarrow. And then we're like, oh my word.
They're both dead.
And then we just heard this screeching sound like, oh my gosh, this person's broke her neck or something. Like, we're freaking out. And we're like,
trapped.
Go away. Like, it's just like this screeching noise coming from her. And I'm like, I had to walk away. And then like 30 seconds later, it's like, she's laughing. It's okay. I'm like, have a better laugh.
Her
like,
laugh is a screech.
We thought you broke your neck. Like, it was crazy because I saw it all happen. Like, literally, it was starting to go forward. She fell, and then the wheelbarrow like went on top of her. But I guess she fit perfectly inside the wheelbarrow, so she didn't get hurt. But everybody's like, "Yeah, winners, girls. No one else is going to do it."
Not after that.
It was so like I legitimately thought like she like broke her neck or got severely injured or something. Like it was horrible to watch. Like it kind of scarred me until I heard that she was laughing. I'm like, fix your laugh.
Unathletic people, man.
Yeah.
Can't let him outside.
Yeah. What were you saying though?
So you said Olive Garden.
Yes. Okay.
And
I completely forgot.
Right. You got a gift card to Olive Garden. There's this viral video on TikTok right now.
Okay.
Of like certain places that like some girls have agreed you are not allowed to take them on first dates.
Olive Garden is solid.
Olive Garden's on there. Red Lobster's on there. Coffee's on there. Bowling's on there.
Those are great. Where do they want?
That's what I said.
Where do you go on a first date?
They were like, oh, they said no chain restaurant. I was like, what? I'm like, Olive Garden and Red Lobster specifically are expensive.
Yeah. So I'm assuming also like no Texas Roadhouse or or whatever.
No chain restaurants.
That's dumb.
And I was looking at the list and I was like, oh my goodness. And then,
where do you go?
Yeah, where are you going to go? And I'm like, you want us to, they said no Cheesecake Factory? And I was like, because that's how it got started, is this one girl.
I feel like the comment section probably blew up and they're like, you obviously have had no dates with anybody then.
Yeah. Well, this one specific lady posted a video where her guy that she's going on a first date with took her to Cheesecake Factory, and she refused to get out of the car because, quote, I deserve better than the Cheesecake Factory.
And he's like, I deserve someone better than you, so honestly, get out. I'm going to get my cheesecake.
I was like, Cheesecake Factory's so good. And again, expensive. And I'm just like, man, like, I don't believe every person is like this, but the expectations on dating anymore is just like, wow. That's why I date Christians where like the expectation is a coffee date.
Or Chick-fil-A.
Or Chick-fil-A, yeah.
For the first like dates, you know, kind of get to know them a little bit.
Yeah, we're talking about first dates.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy that you expect more than whatever this is.
It's like, I don't even know if I like you that much. Why would I spend so much money on you?
Yeah, I'm like.
Or like
I don't know.
crazy or like, that's dumb.
Granted, every scenario is different. Maybe you know this person forever. I don't know. But first date, no. Literally go get coffee and talk. The purpose of a first date is to see if there should be a second date and to get to know one another. That's it. Like, should be no pressure. It's okay. You should not hate each other if like one person's like, hey, actually not feeling it. It's okay.
Yeah.
And you need, again, find out if there should be a second date. And just get to know them a little bit. Ask them questions. I don't know. I like asking. My favorite first date question is, what's the most reckless thing you've ever done?
Oh.
Because
Maverick?
Well, yeah, thank you.
Yes.
But you just get to know the person. Like, oh, are you like a big risk taker? What have you done that's like a really cool story? And then I always make them go first, and then I gauge that to how I should respond.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I have several stories of the most reckless thing I've ever done. And then I'm just like, oh, that was not reckless at all. So then I'll tell like a middle of the road one. And so, yeah.
Nice.
That was my thought process.
I like that a lot. Yeah, that just seems weird to me. Like, I think most people would probably agree, like, hey, Olive Garden slaps. A lot of those places slap. And if you're more worried about where you're being taken instead of the person that's taking you, that's kind of an issue.
Preach.
Yeah, those are the kind of relationships that probably don't last very long. It's not that you shouldn't be treated with respect, but I think taking you to Cheesecake Factory is respecting you very well.
Yeah.
Cheesecake is nice.
Yeah. Why is your value tied up into the place that this person's taking you?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's bad. Too much clout chasing.
Too much clout chasing.
So yeah, that's how we're going to end our is Halloween overrated segment.
Dang it. Facts.
But honestly, this has been like a really solid podcast, solid conversation. And we're starting to get like a little long, so I think we'll kind of start wrapping it up and everything else.
Like a present.
Yeah, wrapping up like a present. Hey, Christmas is coming.
No.
Winter is coming.
Winter, yes.
Yeah, winter
Christmas,
is coming.
No.
I mean, it's still Christmas snow, he said?
No.
Christmas snow.
Take it.
Yeah. But we had some final thoughts. And Alvaro, classic Latino Mr. Beast, great fan of the pod. He sent a message, and a lot of you actually have been doing this lately. Like on each Spotify episode specifically, it gives you the option like, hey, what did you like about this episode? And then you can like write in your response. And if I like it enough, I can post it where it goes directly on the Spotify episode. So literally like episode, I think with Michael Fuller, like a few weeks ago, I have like 8 responses posted like on Spotify. So if you posted one, you can see what your response is, because I think most podcasts usually don't post what fans put, but I'm like, hey, I'll embrace it. If you put something there, I'll throw it on. So it'll be there on the podcast itself. But Alvaro was one who left one for this past episode with Dane and Lindsay. And here's what he said. He said, so good to hear Dan with in parentheses right after it. So Dane.
Danny.
So good to hear Dan in this last pod. I approve of him messing with his sister's room when they were kids.
I forgot about that.
That's such an older brother thing to do, and I can relate. And I'm like, let's go. Shout out Alvaro.
I love that story that Lindsay posted.
Yeah.
Because she always tells that to people. She goes, if you want to know anything about Dan, here's what you need to know. And I'm like, well, Lindsay, you would go run early in the morning and then go back to sleep and sleep till like noon.
Yeah.
And I'm bored.
Yeah. You got to do something. Come on.
Yeah.
And plus, you're the oldest sibling I found out last week. So
yeah.
Yeah.
You found out last week.
And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like some people might have mentioned also just like how crazy it was that you just pee in her shower and not rinse it out. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
I thought it was funny. And to be fair, she could always rinse it out. It's not like it's gonna stay there.
She's there, gone for a few days. Like, what?
I didn't.
What is this? Yeah, that's nasty. But
it's like, funny because the toilet's right behind me.
Yeah, you're just like, what? You're seriously doing this? But yeah, those are kind of some of my final thoughts. Was just like the notes that Alvaro sent, and I want you all to do the same, because it's always a fun fun time.
Yeah, we're men of the people.
Of the people, by the people, for the people.
Exactly, unlike the U.S. government.
Final thoughts. U.S. government rant, go.
Yeah, U.S. government is not for you, and the only thing you need to see is our taxes.
Yeah. And even then, like, we have thoughts about those as well.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But what's our next thing?
I think we're just going to sponsor of the week.
Okay, perfect.
So obviously, number one, Jesus. Didn't even need to dig into it too much.
Goated.
He's the lion and the lamb, and he is always our number one sponsor of the week. And I heard that you do have another verse of the week. I think it was. You don't know.
I can just say.
Yeah,
I was right here.
It, yeah.
So it's Proverbs 30 verses 7 through 9.
Okay, shout out.
And it's a little confusing at the beginning.
Listen in.
Yeah, so listen in. So it says, 2 things I ask of you. Deny them not to before, or
it's a little confusing.
No, it is. It's
okay.
Deny them not to me before I die.
Mm-hmm.
Remove far from me falsehood and lying. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food that is needful for me. Never heard the word needful, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But lest I be full and deny you and say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and steal and profane the name of my God.
Hey.
So it's talking about there just being like being neither rich nor poor. And because if you're rich, you're going to say, and I'm guilty of this more so than anybody else, where when things are going good, it's, man, I'm doing really well. I'm doing like really awesome. Even like in the cancer right now, I'm having these really positive weeks, and I'm getting, or I feel this like draw away from like dependency on God. And I remember, oh yeah, this is why we go through suffering, because it teaches you dependency on God.
Yeah.
And because James goes on to talk about that, counting it all joy. But then also being very poor, if you're like very, very poor, and being in America, very few of us are, but it pushes you to steal, and to profane and not be a good witness of the Lord. And so that's where you see a lot of the community aspect of Christianity, where we all like rally around one another and help like provide for one another. There's been a lot of people who have helped me provide right now, bring me food and things like that. And so it's been really cool just to see that, but also really cool that God says, hey, I don't want you to be rich nor poor. I want you to have what you need and kind of live life that way and be a good representative of the kingdom.
That was good. That was a good word.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Just kind of expand my thoughts as I read it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I know someone else who probably liked it is our number 2 sponsor of the week.
Who?
Jake Trustin Art.
That bum.
Yeah. Hey, he's been like doing some crazy stuff lately. I haven't seen some of his updates. He's legitimately designing baseball cards for this really big baseball card company, which I won't say because he hasn't announced it officially, but I did get the insider scoop from him, so I know who it is. I actually guessed it. Like, my first guess was actually the company that it was.
It's Tops.
I'm not going to say who it is. But yeah, I thought that was just like so cool that he's literally like, that's been his dream, I think, for a while, to design for like,
it's up there.
Yeah. For like baseball card companies is one thing I've heard him talk about. And then I'm like, that is awesome. So he's doing that. And then also he got me on, like, he's big in like the sports cards and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
And he mentioned that there's this one YouTube channel, which again, I'm not going to say who it is, but they do a lot of stuff with like baseball cards, and he's like a big fan of it. And he said he's supposedly going to be featured on it or on it in some capacity at some point in the future. And I'm like, that's pretty dope as well. So man, he gets married, and all of a sudden just the dominoes start falling, and he's reaching his dreams. Hey. And it's really sweet.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. When you get married, now you're not chasing girls anymore. You got a lot more.
He can focus.
You got a lot more focus.
And that was one of the crazy things. I don't know if we mentioned on the pod last week. We re-recorded at his house, and it doesn't look like a bachelor's pad anymore. It's like clean and like kind of like
looks like a girl moved in there.
It's like, what just happened? Like, was it worth it?
It smelled good.
Yeah, like well, that could also be because you moved out. I don't know if it was more you moved out or she moved in.
To be fair, I had cancer while being there.
Okay, that's valid. That's valid. Gosh.
Also, side note.
And
Side note, I ran a half marathon while having cancer. So
you are beating the odds.
And without training. So that was a wild time looking back.
That actually is crazy. Now looking at like, man, look at everything I was doing. Like, it's nuts.
Doing whilst having cancer.
Having a podcast for multiple months during it.
Remember how much I would cough during
and
it?
You're like, it's all that mold. I'm like, I guess it wasn't.
Yeah, fix it. And now look at me. Like
you look great.
I'm coughing a little bit.
You look great in that hat, which is a great transition for our third sponsor of the week, hat makers.
Yeah, so since I'm basically bald now, which is really, really weird for me because my dad used to buzz my head like this when I was younger.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't let me go get my hair cut until I was probably 13. And so ever since then, I've never had my hair this short.
Yeah.
And so it's been, 26 now? 13 years since I've had my hair this short. And I'm like, it's just different and I look weird and things like that. But also, side note, I'm averaging a disease every 13 years because
when you're 39 is not going to be good.
Oh man, when I was born, I'll show you right here. People on the podcast can't see it, but Samuel can describe it. Look on the back of my head.
Oh, it's like it's like a whip, like a half circle.
Yeah, it's like a horseshoe kind of shape.
Yeah, horseshoe's a better word.
Yeah. So when I was born with a tumor on my head, and the doctor said that there's a 10% chance of it being cancer.
Oh gosh!
And my dad said, "Nope, take it off." And
his head.
Yeah, literally.
Come back in. Here's the head of your son. Like not that. Dang it.
Yeah, not my entire head.
Yeah,
But then actually I was talking to Michael Fuller, who is in med school.
He's what are they called who drive EMS?
Yeah,
I think he does like EMS stuff. I don't know, something along those lines.
But I think he's also in med school.
I think he is too.
And he told me, he goes, that means that you had brain cancer while you were in the womb.
That's nuts.
And it just developed and didn't stick to your brain, it stuck to your skull, and then you removed it. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of freaky, and glad it didn't.
Yeah.
But then, so I removed that at 0 years old, and then at 13 got ulcerative colitis, and then at 26 got cancer.
39.
I hope it's like, man.
39, 52, 65, 78, 91 is going to be a year for you. Let me tell you.
Well, I'm thinking 52 is probably when I tap out.
Oh gosh. No.
No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen out of all this?
Okay.
But yeah, every 13 years right now, I'm averaging to honor Taylor Swift. Yeah,
honestly, this is in honor of you, Taylor. Yeah, Shout out.
I choose to get a disease every 13 years for you.
Man, that's crazy.
It is crazy, but humbling at the same time.
Yeah. But the hat, I bet you though, like the hat's wearing them, like it probably feels nice. Like you just put it on and you don't have to worry about anything.
It's more fun. Because like I've always had these hats and I don't want to wear them because I had like voluminous locks.
Yeah, they were flowing.
Yeah, I had nice hair and red hair too, so I really didn't want to like cover it up. And now I'm just like, well, I can wear hats and like it's encouraging and it keeps my head warm now too. And, but what's nice is I don't have to wake up and brush my hair or care at all.
Yeah, it's a quick thing.
Yeah, it's super quick. I'm like, what hat am I going to wear? I usually look at my outfit of what I'm wearing, and then I'm just like, okay, I'll wear this hat with this outfit. And so today I'm wearing like boots and jeans and stuff. And
you look like a very country man walking in today.
Yeah, and my Arkansas shirt. So, yeah, I'm from the country and I like it that way.
Pig suey. That's all I got.
I hated that. But also, yes, woo pig suey. Very big Arkansas, UCLA, and University of Tennessee fan.
Hey, shout out. Also, this doesn't sound bad. I do have, that's not really bad. I have hair, but I wear hats all the time anyway. And just messing it up.
That doesn't sound bad at all.
Okay, I didn't know how I wanted to put that. I'm like, yeah, hats are nice. Hats are really solid.
I like hats. Guy. Well, yeah, now I like hats.
You're like, hey, they're much better now.
Yeah, I used to not like them as much. But yeah, so hats. People who ever designed the hat and the hat companies.
Shout out. Yeah. Okay, well, I think that's about it for this week. As always, keep telling your friends about the podcast. Leave us voice memos. We have the link in our episode descriptions where if you click it, it'll immediately take you to where you can record a 1-minute voice memo. And if you do, we will throw it on the podcast and you will be a clout chaser yourself. So that's all you got to do.
Just like Taylor.
Yeah, obviously, just like Taylor. You also can follow us on our Instagram or Twitter, at Until Next Week Podcast or at Until Next Week on Twitter. And then Dane's here, but that means you have to keep him in your prayers. If you don't, he will come after you.
Well, honestly, next week when you're listening, it comes out Monday, so I'll literally be getting chemo when you're listening.
Yeah, so keep that in mind. So better be praying for him. Yeah. If you don't, you're a bad person.
So if you listen to this, when you get to the age, just when you think about me, pray for me, and just that the chemo keeps working. and that it would eradicate my cancer.
Yeah.
And that also
you're able to drink Mountain Dew sometime in the future if they get some conclusive evidence.
That'd be great. I don't expect conclusive evidence just because of me.
Hey,
however,
this is it.
Yeah. However, I would like it, but at the same time, just that the chemo symptoms next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and beyond, like, would just be minimal.
Yeah.
And that I'd get back to feeling the way I feel now.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
Feeling good.
I feel antsy right now, honestly.
He's like, I want to leave. I'm like, and guess what? You can, because this has been episode 44 of the Intellectually Podcast.
Go Cowboys. Dang it. What a time to be alive.